can get to nowhere, so you can get to know me. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine on me. Yeah, go ahead and MVP. I'm Rap's MVP. I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Whoa, from the beginning to the end. Losers lose, winners win. This is real, we ain't got to pretend. The cold world that we in is full of pressure and pain. Nigga, now listen to game. Used to see 5-0, throw the crack by the bench. Now I'm fucking with 5-0. It's all starting to make sense. My mom's happy she ain't gotta pay the rent, and she got a red bow on that brand new Benz. Waiting on shot money to lane, sitting in the rain, thinking how they spent $30 million on airplanes. When this kid's starving, pack is gone and Brenda's still throwing babies in the garbage. I wanna know what's going on like I hear Marvin. No school books, they use that wood to build coffins. Whenever I'm in the booth and I get exhausted, I think, what if Marie Baker got that abortion? I love you, man. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine on it. Go ahead and MVP. I'm Rap's MVP. I ain't gon' nowhere, so you can get to know it, so you can get to know me. Hate it or love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine on it. Go ahead and MVP. I'm Rap's MVP. I ain't gon' nowhere, so you can get to know me. I started out at 15, scared as hell. I took 30 off a pad and made them sales as a youth. Man, I used to passion for loot, but the boot blues too. And my group of fed glow, sapping music diva, out in the nation. I'm a whipper wish and found my peace. And the vibes on right, come down. And the burst for the petty, so forget the ways. Hate it or love it, I'm gon' shine on me. Go ahead and be me. I'm Rap's MVP. I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me.
To all the ladies in the place with style and grace, allow me to lace these lyrical Dutches in your bushes, who rock grooves and make moves with all the mommies. The back of the club sipping my wet is where you'll find me. The back of the club macking hoes, my crew's behind me. Mad question asking, blunt passing, music blasting, but I just can't quit, because one of these honeys Biggie gotta creep with, sleep with, keep the ep a secret. Why not? Why blow up my spot? Cause we both got caught. Now check it, I got more Max than Craig, and in the bed, believe me sweetie, I got enough to feed the needy. No need to be greedy, I got mad friends with Benz and C-No's by the last. True to life players, jump in a Rover and come over. Tell your friends jump in a GS3. I got the honey's by the tree. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air if you's a true player. I love it when you call me Big Papa. True to honey's getting money, playing fellas like dummies. I love it when you call me Big Papa. If you gotta get up in your waist, please don't shoot up the place. Why? Cause I see some ladies tonight that shouldn't be having my baby. Baby, straight up honey, really I'm asking, most of these fellas think they be macking, but they be acting. Who they attracting with that line? What's your name, what's your sign? Soon as he buy that wine, I just creep up from behind and ask what your interests are. Who you be with? Things to make you smile. What numbers to dial? You gon' be here for a while. I'm gon' go call my crew. You go call your crew. We can rendezvous at the bar around 2. Plans to leave. Throw the keys to little C's. Pull the truck up front and roll up the next blunt so we can steam on the way to the telly. Go fill my belly, T-bone steak, cheese, eggs, and Welch's great. Conversate for a few, cause in a few we gon' do what we came to do. Ain't that right, boo? Forget the telly, we just go to the crib and watch a movie in the jacuzzi. Smoke else while you do me. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air if you's a true player. I love it when you call me Big Papa. To the honeys getting money, playing fellas like dummies. I love it when you call me Big Papa. If you gotta get up in your waist, please don't shoot up the place. Why? Cause I see some ladies tonight that should be having my baby. Smalls in mansion and Benz is giving ends to my friends, and it feels stupendous, tremendous cream. Get $1 and a dream, steel toe gas strapped with infrared beams. Chopping O's, smoking lion, optimals, money holes and clothes. All a nigga knows a foolish pleasure. Whatever, I had to find a buried treasure. So grams I had to measure. However, living better now, Gucci sweater now, drop top BMs, I'm the man, girlfriend. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air if you's a true player. I love it when you call me Big Papa. To the honeys getting money, playing fellas like dummies. I love it when you call me Big Papa. If you gotta get up in your waist, please don't shoot up the place. Why? Cause I see some ladies tonight that should be having my baby. Baby.
Love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' slide on it until my heart stops. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Did you know me? Hate it, love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' slide on it. Hey, go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Did you know me? On the grill of my low rider, guns on both sides. Right above the gold wires, I'll 4-5, I'm kill a nigga on my song and really do it. That's the true meaning of a ghost rider. 10 G's will take your daughter out of Air Forces. Believe me, homie, I know all about losses. I'm from Compton where the wrong colors be cautious. One phone call, I'll have your body dumped in Marcy. I stay strapped like car seats. Been banging since my little nigga Rob got killed for his Barclays. Last 10 years, I told Pooh in 95. I'll kill you if you try me for my Air Max 95. Told Banks when I met him, I'm a ride. And if I gotta die, I'd rather homicide. I ain't had 50 when my grandmama died. Now I'm going back to Cali with my Jacob on, see how time flies. Hate it, I love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine, homie. Yeah. Stop. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Get to know me. Hate it, I love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gon' shine on it. Hey, go ahead, MVP. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Hey, from the beginning to the end, losers lose, winners win. This is real, we ain't got to pretend.
Hello Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Friday Stack, a very special holiday edition. The boys are back in town. We got Rob Wallace here from Bitcoin News. We got Avi. We got Jody from 21 Rates, and we got Lucas over here, our guest today from Cash.bot, a new prediction market. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our favorite hour of the week. We talk about Bitcoin. We have some fun. We bring up the headlines. And of course, we leave you with some sats. We've got a big show today. We got a Mount Rushmore, biggest headlines of 2025, AKA everything you forgot that happened in the last 365 days. But before we jump into the fun and the game show stuff, the segments, everything that you love about this show, we got to talk about what we got going on. This show is interactive, and you're a part of it, and this is how you take part. Jody, take it away.
As we do every week, come in, you win sats, you go to 21rates.com/stack, you scan the QR code at the bottom right, which may be easier on mobile, but either way, you're just coming in, and we're making it even easier. We want you to win sats before this Christmas. If we don't see a Santa rally, like we're trying.
And Hanukkah.
And Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah for Avi. So
there you go.
Code word Santa, just go to 21rates.com/stack, enter in the code Santa, enter to win. We're going to spin the wheel at the end of the show, and then we're going to pay it out over Lightning. We like using Bitcoin. It's so easy these days. There's so many good wallets. Rhino Wallet is a fantastic one. Wallet of Satoshi, Strike, a lot of good free options. And it's good to just get out and use Bitcoin.
Boom. There you go. So yes, that's it. 21rates.com/stack. We got the secret code for today's show, Santa. Just plug that in right there on the screen where it says enter live code, and boom, you are entered to win 21,000 sats. We'll spin the wheel at the end of the show. But before we move forward, let's give a nice introduction to our man over here, Lucas. Lucas, tell us what's up. How you doing?
Hey, what's up? Well, many things are up actually going on, especially now coming at the end of 2025. Very excited to get about what has been crazy, what new things, what new financial vehicles have been created. So very much looking forward to the chat today.
Wonderful. And Avi, you got any good words for us to open up this show?
No, I'm excited for this one. A good recap of the year as we wrap up, and I'm ready to get going here. Excited. I think everyone's looking forward to the new year, and hopefully 2026 is the breakout here for Bitcoin that we've been hoping for. So let's talk about what led us here, though, for 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, before we get started, 2025, I mean, we had lots of hopes, lots of aspirations. We achieved some of them. We did not achieve some others, but that's okay. That's life. You learn from the bumps and bruises, you grow, you persevere, and there's always tomorrow. And so let's look back on 2025, everything that happened, the biggest headlines, the things that really stole the show. What will leave a lasting impression on us? I mean, so many things happened in the last year. We're constantly flooded with information. What really stood out? Okay, so for today's Mount Rushmore, we got Jody with the #1 pick. Big pressure here. Lots of headlines, lots of big stories. Please take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back to, I think the market is driven by, so much of it's driven by sentiment. We had Adrian Morris on last Friday. Big MSTR True North strategy analyst. His big thing is markets driven by sentiment over like many things. It's an attention economy. Palantir stock definitely trades on a lot of like how much it can generate. If you go look at an Alex Karp interview, you can see that he's really laying into the Elon Musk stock. So that's what I'm focused on, is attention economy. And I think the biggest story for me has to be the strategic Bitcoin reserve, even if it hasn't really played out like we want it. I think having a sitting president actively talk about Bitcoin several times is the reason for why I'm bullish. And I think it's also, it makes it hard for, if you're trying to orange pill someone, really makes it hard for them to ignore if, president, a sitting president is talking about Bitcoin. His sons are, Eric Trump that we interviewed is investing in American Bitcoin, a mining firm, Bitcoin treasury company, Don Jr. has like World Liberty Financial, but I feel like the validation we get from that is going to carry us through, even though we're not seeing the price appreciation coming from the actual purchases of the U.S. government. They have held; they're not selling Bitcoin, which is halfway there. But I think having a BTC Reserve or having a sitting president just talking about Bitcoin is a huge validation step you never would have seen 2017 or previous cycles.
Boom. Great pick. Great pick. Huge news. Yes. And for Bitcoin, I mean, that's really sort of, it encompasses so much. The fact that there's a Bitcoin reserve, Trump's the president, executive order. Yeah, that really sums up 2025 in 2 words right there. So good pick. Solid pick. All right, Lucas.
I mean, for me, it's quite clear beyond my own personal bias. Everything that happened in 2025, it is absolutely crazy with this new financial vehicle, right? That we now call prediction markets, even though they have many names. Some people name them opinion markets. Some people name them even quantum markets. So they may carry different names, but for sure, we started the year with Kalshi making such a huge growth in the space, right? From having gotten that regulation down to becoming the #1 prediction markets in sports. So we definitely saw that category taking place. Shortly thereafter, it was the CFTC finally giving a no-issue letter to the public saying we're not gonna say that prediction markets are good, but we're not gonna start suing and coming after the main prediction market players. So definitely that opened the door and the eyes to not just to the US, but to many other countries that are following suit pretty much. We've got the UAE becoming more friendly with the regulations around prediction markets. We've got many other countries as well saying, oh, this is actually not that bad. It actually makes sense. We've got options contracts. We've got futures contracts. Now we have event-driven contracts, right? You can come out of a position at any point. You can precisely calculate what you're going to get in return if you're on the right side of even the narrative before expiration. So definitely very bullish on everything going on, and especially how the people are starting to realize that prediction markets are not gambling. It's a whole new financial asset. And even though it may look like gambling at the very early days of oil, once there was, the derivative of oil, everybody was saying that was gambling as well, right? And now it is a very solid financial vehicle. So yeah, quite bullish on the next cycle in 2026 when we see what has been working better. Once we see how to, exactly what Jody said as well, how to get the attention, nail the attention and distribution of these prediction markets to get to the people, to let the people trade. So very bullish on that side for sure.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that I feel as like an options trader and someone that dabbles in the space, how many times have you guys, known directionally a company will beat earnings and then it still drops, right? So this is like a really cool financial product where you can truly directionally, if you are correct, you can still win the bet, or not the bet here. Strategically be correct
prediction,
here.
Let's say, yeah.
Prediction correct. Legally, we gotta get that down. The prediction correct, even though the market may react differently, on the earnings call later on, right? So this is something that I think is not going to go away. It's going to double down here in 2026, and I think a lot of more people. Some of the commercials I just saw, the Kalshi commercial was awesome. Going back in history of like, what are the chances that Sparta will win the war? Very, very creative that they built that. And yeah, I'm super excited for prediction markets heading into 2026.
100%. And for those people out there that don't want to say the word prediction markets, there is also what I refer internally as leveraged quantifiable uncertainty. So there is also that term for people to see what they do without really raising any red flags. So just a friendly tip over there.
Yep.
Wonderful. Nice.
Rob.
Yeah. All right, my turn. I'm going to go with sort of a very large encompassing term here, but I think it sums up some of what's going on. Debasement trade. Debasement trade is my headline of the year. I think that encompasses, of course, gold's historic run, right? Adding $10 trillion to its market cap, Bitcoin being a headline, being the talk of all these banks throughout the whole entire year. The world is changing. And when the world changes, there's unease. And what do people want? They want a neutral reserve asset, something that cannot be manipulated, something that cannot be printed out of thin air. Gold has really taken that torch this year, as we saw in 2010, 2011, when it ran up from $1,000 to 2,000. Well, it just ran from 2,000 to 4,000, adding $10 trillion to its market cap. And of course, everybody, I think, here believes that Bitcoin will one day match the market cap of gold or surpass it. And if it does, that means that we're going to see a Bitcoin price, of course, in the $1.5, $2 million range, just to match the price of gold. So debasement trade has been the term of the year, in my opinion.
Ooh, I like that. Shout out to our friend Danny Sofer, aka Danny Deals. He called a silver trade, I think, back in June, and so followed him on it. Best trade of the year for me. And yeah, we want, it's trading like a tech stock now, but we want Bitcoin to be in that conversation with gold, silver, and any other like hard asset.
100%. It's coming.
Love it. Yeah, I think it is one of those things that people are starting to feel it, all around. And why is my dollar not buying what it used to buy? And so it is something that's going to continue, we think, probably forever, right? They're going to continue to just print money. And so this story will not probably go away for quite some time. I'm going to go piggybacking off what Jody with the first round pick, not necessarily 100% Bitcoin, but the Genius Act, I think, has to be right up there. Ends the era of enforcement, right? So they codify that stablecoins are neither securities nor commodities. The SEC cannot police. It was the first kind of major piece of litigation that I think, went through. And the other piece too is like, they now don't need to sell, right? So previously the US would, acquire Bitcoin and that they seized through criminal cases. And this is the first time now that they don't need to sell, and they can put this now into the strategic reserve. And so U.S. Marshals selling 200,000 Bitcoin that they seized. Now this is in the strategic reserve, which is really exciting. So I think that's kicking off, hopefully more legislation that will clear things up for people. But I think that's got to be one of the biggest news articles of 2025.
Yeah, I think you're right. The U.S. government is definitely going all in on stablecoins. They believe that it is a way to, of course, preserve dollar hegemony. The governments around the world no longer want to buy U.S. treasuries as their foundational asset. So who's going to buy them? Well, these stablecoins are. So they're going to buy a bunch of short-term debt, and it's going to make the dollar even more ubiquitous than it already is around the world. Plenty of people in the third world, developing world, over in Africa or Latin America, they don't even have bank accounts, but they can get stablecoins. They do have smartphones. So the U.S. government is getting in on the act. They realize that it's beneficial for them, and this is how they're doing it. Genius Act was very few big pieces of legislation were passed through. They've got the big, beautiful bill, and I would say this is number 2 for Trump this year. So, yeah, big headline, big headline.
And I go back to back, right?
Yep.
We're doing the snake draft here. So I'm going to just say price action. I mean, we finally went over 100K. I think that was like the final boss, if you will, right, for Bitcoin. And hopefully not the final boss. The final boss of this year was to ultimately break over 100. Obviously, right now we've come back under. So we'll see where everything lines up here eventually. But I think we're sitting at like 87K. I was checking before the show, but peaked at 126. That kind of woke people back up. The bears came out of their slumber and took a look, and then they returned as well for that leverage flush, right? That we saw, the flash crash kind of 2025, took out about 20 billion in a single day. But breaking that barrier, people always, investing sometimes is very simple in terms of how simple-minded people are, right? And that 100,000 is such a barrier to finally cross that now, I think when we go past it again, what's that next line? I know a lot of people are talking like 140, 150. So these are huge psychological barriers, I think, especially with all, the institutions that are coming in. This is no longer kids in their parents' basements. This is, huge amounts of wealth that are coming from sovereign funds. They're, all the treasury companies that have come in now as well. So we have some less paper holders or more diamond hands, if you will, with some of these institutions coming in. So Hopefully we don't continue to go down like KT's prediction on our show. If anyone was watching on Wednesday, he said if it hit, what was it, 85, Jody? If it hit 85, it could flush down to 70.
His line in the sand, 85,500. And if it breaks that, it goes down. He also sees upside potential if it breaks 90 to the upside. There's a ton of room where it could just take off. Falling wedge pattern. Will we see the Santa rally break through the line? I don't know. Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think there's a new mental floor now of kind of like, let's break through 100 before we kind of go through, I guess, 90 in the eyes of KT. But just in terms of headlines, the first time breaking over 100, I think has to be on there.
Yeah, good call. I mean, we did technically break 100 for the first time December last year, 2024. Just so, just
semantics, dude.
but yes, this was the year of 100K Bitcoin, where 100K got normalized, and that's just, I mean, this is magic internet money, right? This thing is 16 years old. It's already a $2 trillion asset, and the fact that it is now just normalized to see it above 100K, and you're like, why isn't it above 100K right now? Just goes to show you how serious this has become. Yes.
Should I make the text black? I don't know if you guys can comment, if you guys can read this or not, but I do like the orange for Bitcoin, but it may be a little tough to read. So
black's hard to read, or orange is hard to read.
Orange is hard to read. All right, we're gonna change this over to black. But Rob, let's go back to you, my friend. You are up.
All right. So mine is going to, I like to keep a theme with all of my things, you know, they like to piggyback off each other. So I am going to go with DOGE, the DOGE fail. The fact that Trump came in with a mandate to try to rein in the government, cut off all this excess spending, make sure that we were living within our means, because we are $38 trillion worth in debt. And why is the debasement trade so popular? Because the US government is debasing the world reserve currency, the dollar. So they tried to fix that with DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. There was this great love story between Trump and Elon, arguably two of the most powerful men on planet Earth. And then they had this great falling out. Elon was not allowed really to do pretty much anything. They said they were going to cut $2 trillion from the budget, and then it became 1 trillion, then 500 billion, then 200 billion, and then I think at most they cut 100 billion max, right? And that's a couple days worth of spending for the US government. So I think it just goes to show you the DOGE fail is the perfect example that nothing stops this train. And that's where we're at these days, guys. The dollar is going to be continued to be printed into oblivion, aka debasement trade. You need to protect yourself, and that's why we care about Bitcoin. That's why we talk about it every single day. You got to protect yourself with BTC. And DOGE failing, it was just such a large public display of government inefficiency, and the fact that the government is, it's a bureaucracy. It can't get anything done, and it lives off of layering itself deeper and deeper in ineptitude and debt. So that is my headline number 2 of 2025, DOGE fail.
Love it. Yeah, it started off hot though. I will say, like, people were like cool, crazy things that we were sending money to, like the weirdest. It kind of just opened up people's eyes. So maybe it was a failure in the broad scheme of things, but I do think that it really woke people up to, hey, how many of these NGOs are just pouring money in outside of the country? And a lot of people, you know, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Populism. So it's like kind of like raised that populism, I would say, and that kind of started to wake people up throughout America. But
yeah, I also think what I was going to say, if you think like Elon is an engineer and he likes to solve problems, going to space, reusable rockets, catching a rocket, that's super hard problem. And the fact that he was so frustrated with the fact that, like, he can't fix this problem of, like, you know, keeping the current administration happy, and they want to keep the population happy, but then also cut debt. You know, austerity wasn't on the table. And I think right after, you know, the falling out of DOGE, Bessent had a speech, and this was the meme that was the most popular one coming out of it, was that Bessent was pretty much saying, we're going to grow our way out of it, whether that's economic growth, hopefully AI growth, but, you know, we're also going to continue spending. There's not going to be austerity in the US to, you know, bring overall debt down. So solid pick, Rob.
Let's pause real quick before you go again, Lucas. So for those that just joined, go to 21rates.com/stack. We are giving away Bitcoin. Make sure you sign up. Free to enter. All we need is your email and 21rates.com/stack for anyone new that is coming in. We will be spinning a wheel and giving away 21,000 sats here at the end of the show. So Lucas, you're up again, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of the next or the previous meta of 2025 that is just going to repeat itself in 2026. And I think it has to do a lot with what we've said before about space, satellites, and AI, right? You've probably heard the news of having, spatial AI where you actually put all the training models up in the satellites, and you're able to just do anything there, right? It has many dimensions on that side, especially when we're seeing more and more agents take care of our financial freedom on crypto directly on prediction markets. They are able to bet for us, right? But that has the danger that you have to share all that information with models that are owned by a certain company. Being able to really scale next AI generation, I think that's going to be kind of what we start to see in 2025, and what we're going to double and triple down on onto 2026 is how much computing power, GPU related, are we going to start seeing in space, literally in satellites feeding from the sun, and being able to, of course, there are freezing temperatures in space, sometimes even close to 0 Kelvin, right? So being able to place all these models up there, and being able to have all the efficient communications with, the Starlink protocol. I still do not understand how there are so many countries on planet Earth that allow so many low Earth orbit satellites to see everything that happens on their land, right? It's quite scary when you think about it and when you can see it with the naked eye, right? So what is going to happen when you actually are not bound anymore by Earth regulations, let's call it, and you can train whatever you want in space, right? You can train the best model to infer things that on planet Earth are illegal, but you train up there in space, who knows, which regulation it's under? Well, there is no regulation, simply what happens when you bring this model to planet Earth, right? So what's going to happen in crypto when that's the case, right? How many personal investment agents are just going to make a fortune, right? This ties actually to a fun story. So I've heard, so the word on the street says, but the engineers at Facebook, at Llama, just before releasing Llama to the public and setting all the appropriate safety layers, they were just profiting hugely and playing with the model on how much money can make online, and it made a shitload of money, right? So just imagine no boundaries and doing that in space, how that's going to affect the crypto investment space by automating the entire thing, automating, stable coins. If they have one thing, is that they're 24/7, right? And AI agents are just super capable of doing those things. So yeah, quite scary new thing to think about.
I didn't even know about that. So they're if something could be perceived as illegal on Earth, they're building it now in space, and then they'll send it back. Yeah,
exactly. That is like a side advantage, right? Of course, the main narrative here is the energy limitation that it's on Earth, right? In the US, and so we see the US kind of slowly and steadily growing the energy kind of generation. We see China just doing a multiple of growth compared to the US. Europe is still trying to understand what energy means, to be fully transparent. So yeah, in the meantime, in space, you have just like unlimited energy from the sun, from different sources of radiation, but mostly from the sun, and then you have freezing temperatures, which means that you don't need any cooling stations, right?
Yeah.
So it's when everything that you just need is the infrastructure to control low Earth orbit satellites, to be able to make as cheap as possible all this all this space cargo, so to say. And well, guess what? Elon has been doing this past few years. So yeah, we will start to see a huge difference when it comes to people that just have things that wouldn't be imaginable on Earth but they have it privately in space.
So you think, real quick, just because I know the biggest IPO potentially ever is about to happen with SpaceX. My mind's blown at that. It's going to be, I've heard anywhere from like 1.2 to 1.6 trillion dollars for an IPO. Do you think personally, is that crazy or like astronomical, to use a fun space word? You think that's normal?
Not at all. I think 1 trillion, 1.5 trillion. Already Sam Altman was hinting that valuation, right, for OpenAI. But OpenAI, what they do best is even than creating raw models from scratch, is just scaling up models, right? So how much moat does that have really? Well, we've seen very little, as Meta is doing the exact same thing. Anthropic is doing the exact same thing. Grok did the exact same thing in less than 4 weeks for the first version of Grok. So the thing that companies are extremely looking forward to is that true competitive advantage that will set them apart from the 200 billion to 500 billion valuations that we've seen from these very large AI companies. So being able to control and own the infrastructure to launch cheap satellites to space, being able to control the infrastructure of a new internet protocol, this is extremely dangerous if the TCP IP stack was owned by a private company, right? Well, Elon Musk may as well own the entire TCP stack, TCP IP stack, that the internet, HTML, HTTPS, all of those things, use that same technology to communicate over the web. He will most likely be the owner of that entire infrastructure.
Wow.
The fact that it's coming public, it's a good thing, because at least people now have, at least in a way, more decentralized control of that public infrastructure at the end of the day. So 1.5 trillion by no means is, I would say, short of what SpaceX could be valued at in the following years. Plus, he seems to be very well connected when it seems important to come up with that capital. So I would seriously consider that to be the case.
Yeah. So that's actually a perfect way, perfect segue into mine is 5 trillion is my next guess. Or my next selection, 5 trillion, and that's for Nvidia. October 2025, Nvidia achieves a landmark of a $5 trillion market cap valuation only 4 months after achieving, or maybe it's a couple of months. Yeah, 4 months after 4 trillion. Exactly what you're saying around valuations, what the future looks like. I think hyperscalers and AI have been the topic of the market, certainly the past 2 years. And I think it's taken some of the wind out of the sails and BTC price action, certainly altcoins, and like people realized, is the next technology shift going to be in finance? Well, I think there is improvements we're seeing in finance, but it's really not, at the level of AI. And the market's proving that, of like, hey, AI is going to be more impactful on the future than just looking at, okay, how can we make a blockchain faster? How can we make transactions faster? How can we make a bank faster? I think there's so much more that AI can change. So Nvidia, we're going to continue to see if CapEx spending on AI continues for these hyperscalers. One thing we talked about on Wednesday on the midweek markets is around, KT, your problem sniper, identified someone who's buying 2027 Google calls for 600, makes Google a $6 trillion company. He sees multiple, $5 trillion plus companies in the next 3 to 5 years. Might be on the tail end of 5 years, but Tesla, Google, Microsoft, he sees many of these companies continue to dominate. And for many, you just mentioned, Lucas, around who has access, who's controlling, the models, controlling the specialized hardware, who's getting to space, that there's a bottleneck on how many people can go, and you have to have a lot of capital to be able to afford that. You have to have a lot of capital to build data centers or build nuclear reactors to power those data centers. So I think 5 trillion is such a big story for 2025 to see. This is the next era of the Industrial Revolution. This is the Andrew Carnegie's, the U.S. Steels, the Rockefeller with Standard Oil Company. And I think that's going to take us through the shift, is probably this oligarchy of Mag 7 and hyperscalers.
Yeah, the fourth turning is upon us. So this is every 100 years this happens where there's a crazy technological advancement. I have a question for all of you guys. Just your thoughts of how much of this is like debasement. Going back to Rob's pick earlier, of like these numbers are astronomical again, right? Like no one's thinking these companies. Where is this money coming from? Trillions and trillions of dollars, right? So how much of this is like value added versus like the debasement of the dollar, and assets just going crazy high right now because the dollar's crashing?
It's a lot. I mean, if you take out inflation for the S&P 500 for the last century, it's almost flat, right? I mean, we haven't surpassed the 1929 all-time highs. So what does that mean? Like this, we're printing a lot of money. And it's also the fact that the stock market is essentially a matter of national security at this point, right? If the stock market goes down significantly, boomers will not have a retirement. The whole entire Ponzi collapses. They need to keep the stock market going up and to the right to make sure that the whole entire system works. So that means that they're going to print money if they have to in order to make sure that the number looks like it's going up nominally, even though the real value of these things is not much higher than it was in years past.
Yeah. Jody, you want to go again? Let's do 3 rounds since we're it's been 40 minutes in, so I think we should cut that last round and we'll go 3 rounds strong here.
All right.
The snake draft always catches you when you get a repeat.
I'm just having so much fun, I
know.
Draw a line.
Let me take a deep breath. And I am going to say AI agents. So this is going to be something that also Lucas is borrowing off of the same theme, but it is very impactful. So what we're thinking about with AI agents is continuing that theme of what do actions look like in the future? What does commerce look like? What does e-commerce look like? And the abundance created by AI, people able to get perfect price discovery on flights and tickets and real estate and stocks, by agents trading at a very fast speed. And you're setting up with the goal of, hey, give me the best price for this thing. And, the agent on the other end selling, or the merchant, hey, let's sell this price at the best price you can get in the market. Totally is going to change markets. And what we're seeing is, that's going to be crazy. There's going to be jobs absolutely that are going to be replaced. And people are going to be losing their jobs, but people have been talking about UBI as a potential solution for that. So in the AI agent economy, I do think there's going to be a surplus of value creation there, but how long is the trickle down going to take? Could be a while. One thing that Elon Musk did say, which is great, is that he mentioned Bitcoin recently in an interview and mentioned that energy is always very difficult to produce. We've always tried to make more energy. There are great solutions like getting into space, but we're not there yet. And so he likes conceptually the idea that Bitcoin as storing energy, being a store of value where it's hard to produce and you have to keep spending more energy to produce more Bitcoin, is something that is way better than having a central government choose how much currency should be emitted or released into the market. So the debasement trade, if we're tying everything together, I think AI agent trade or AI agents in the future is changing how people are thinking about what is money and how the velocity of money is going to increase. Bitcoin could be the hedge for that, the barbell, to hold it back to a finite amount, supply, and not be debased.
100%.
Lucas, we're coming back to you, my friend.
Yeah, no. There is I've got a new thing that ties it up together, both the kind of the space AI and the prediction markets, and that's actually security. Cyber security. We saw at the very beginning of the year, in around February 2025, right, Bybit getting hacked for 1 billion plus, right? We were seeing all this. If you go to like these websites that actually tell you, there is the Wrecked website that actually tells you the biggest hacks of all time. We're starting to see more and more and more. Well, actually fewer, but the very few that happen, they have deeper books. They have all of these things, right? So I am very concerned personally with privacy and security solutions, to be honest. We're getting a bit too comfortable in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, in all these different chains. And we don't realize that cybersecurity looks in the past, right? Whether something is active today, you can actually backtrack and see everything that you've done since the very early days of crypto, right? In my case, since 2017, 2018. So it is very scary to realize that the more advanced AI gets, the more advanced blockchain intelligence tools get, and also intelligence agencies, when it comes to tracking down these things, we really have to begin to think of what privacy solution is there for Bitcoin, what privacy solution is there for crypto transactions in general. You've probably heard about zero knowledge proofs of FHE, full homomorphic encryption. This is a bit more in the 2026 landscape, but I think we're going to have the same inflection point that we had with AI, with GPUs, the same, but with zero knowledge proofs, where we will start to see private transactions. We will start to see beyond protocols like Zcash, right? But embedded in everybody's wallet. So yeah, and more AI agents, as Jody was saying, on really securing on a personal level everything that you do, right? Or even routing your transactions for them to be more private in the public, right? And there are two schools of people: the one that believe that all transactions should be public, and that is the spirit of the blockchain, or the blockchain simply took away the centralized entity and enabled people to trade freely, which doesn't mean openly, right? So I'm very excited to see how, well, already all the problems, all the hacks that we had in 2025, probably featuring Bybit as the main one, and to see all these state-sponsored groups, what they're going to do next, because we're stacking more and more and more onto the crypto field, but they're very weak layers and very weak intersection points that connect all crypto together, right? Or even platforms like Hyperliquid, right? We believe it's related, but actually most of it is centralized. So yeah, scary times ahead, and I believe that the safest and the best place, the best method to stay safe is actually understanding from the ground up how the technology works. So yeah, definitely cybersecurity was a big thing in 25 and will be even bigger in 26.
Yeah, I don't think cybersecurity is going away. That was my thesis. I bought CrowdStrike at about $60, and I haven't sold a share, and it's just like it just keeps churning and churning. And I don't think that cybersecurity will all of a sudden disappear. In fact, it's like you said, I think it's just going to continue to grow. So
actually, the question is, who's going to take care of your security? Is it going to be you, or is it going to be another company, right? And that, for me, is the biggest aspect. Are we going to dump society so that they do not know privacy solutions? Or is society, especially in crypto, which I definitely hope that's the case, are they going to take charge of their own security and say to the government, actually, an example of this is how things should be? That, for me, is what I want to make people aware of. It is actually up to the users, up to the even starting with the blockchain sector, of course, taking ownership and responsibility for your own security. Don't let anybody else do that. Things could get quite messy if that's the case.
Yeah, no, I think that's powerful. Robbie Digital.
All right. If I wanted to be a funny guy, I would say the Coldplay couple. That was really, I think that was like the meme of the year. But no, I'll be serious. And I mean, it's funny to think that, I mean, with price action right now for Bitcoin in the 80s, people are sort of down in the dumps because we're lower than when we started the year. But if you remember, in the middle of this year, we had a mini mania. There was a euphoria going on, and that euphoria was paper Bitcoin summer. I mean, Bitcoin treasury stocks were the talk of the town. Everybody thought that you could just slap BTC at the end of your name and throw a couple Bitcoin on your treasury, and you would be the hottest stock in the world. And for a couple of months, it worked. There was a lot of companies that did it. Over 180 of them joined the party, and now a lot of them are trading for below the value of their Bitcoin, an MNAV below 1. We still got the leader of the pack strategy going strong in terms of offering new products, finding ways to innovate, ways to make use of their Bitcoin and infiltrate the traditional financial system even further. But when it comes to a lot of these other guys, the copycats, the companies that just said, hey, we're a zombie company, we don't got anything going on, we're just going to throw some Bitcoin on the balance sheet, they really they bid it hardcore, and they are reeling in terms of stock prices being down more than 90%. There's, I think, probably over a dozen of these companies that have their stock prices down over 90% over the last 6 months. So it's been, it was fun while it lasted, and some lessons have been learned. Many of them still survive. We'll see how many start consolidating, merging in the year ahead. That'll be an interesting story. Some companies acquiring Bitcoin for pennies on the dollar because of it. And who knows, maybe JP Morgan and some of these other big banks are manipulating these stocks, shorting them in order to do just that, buy them up cheap and get the Bitcoin for themselves. So we'll see how the story plays out. But there was certainly a mania this year. There was no alt season, but there was a paper Bitcoin summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it will be interesting to see how it plays out. I remember I was pretty baffled that like companies like Semler Scientific initially were slow, you know, to grow with the rest of them, right? And these operational companies, now the pendulum's come back, I'd say, where it's like, hey, if you don't have a way to have accretive Bitcoin and actually have some operations behind it, have some cash, you know, being able to produce income to buy more Bitcoin, the simple logic is like, all right, how are you guys going to produce money to buy more Bitcoin? And as an investor, you're always looking 6 months, a year, you know, 5 years ahead now on where this goes. And if you're not able to keep up and continue to buy Bitcoin, people are starting to get a little smarter there. So, Lucas, I saw you laughing down there. I didn't know if you had a hot take on this.
Yeah. I mean, the whole, when you start to get deep into, will institutions play with, you know, Bitcoin prices and forced liquidations and so on, you know, well, when you start seeing the cycle of DATs, of digital asset treasury companies, and the whole play with, you know, get a public company that is already trading, turn it into a DAT, start buying Bitcoin, probably do a bit of hedging in prediction markets. Actually, it wouldn't, you know, shorting prediction markets in the price of Bitcoin. Let's say if you're long in already in your DAT, in your digital asset company. What was the name of it? Was the Bitcoin, like the new French MicroStrategy, pretty much, right?
Saquons.
Yeah. They did pretty much a copy and paste of the same thing. I just think that's going to grow exponentially. More and more companies are going to be, potentially affecting the price of Bitcoin of this asset and just buying cheaper and cheaper. We've seen that model works extremely well. It is still relatively early to keep doing it, and I think it's a dangerous, you know, thing for what awaits. But definitely, this won't be the last time we hear something like this happening. So yeah, I always stay. Again, Bitcoin was created for the people, right? The more institutions that jump, they have way more data that we can ever imagine. They control the RPCs. They know historic, you know, user behavior as well. It is, you know, they may control the meta to trigger certain liquidations, whether it's, you know, on the low side of things or whether things, you know, scale up and you trigger liquidation from these long positions, right? So dangerous times there, but yeah, DATs are just gonna get worse next year. They're gonna follow the exact same playbook. It's gonna be a copy and paste. Getting, you know, institutional public money is way easier than privately doing so, and that's just going to keep repeating. So we will see several ups and downs in 2026 of Bitcoin for sure, above and below 100K.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm gonna wrap things up here with kind of all-encompassing just the rise of the institutional coming into Bitcoin, right? So starting back in January, I know we all have 5-minute attention spans here, but January 23rd was a watershed moment where they reversed SAB 121. So what that meant was banks basically had $1 billion of Bitcoin. They would have that as a liability on their own balance sheet. So this flipped that, and it's no longer. And so BNY Mellon, JP Morgan, State Street, all of these guys were able to treat Bitcoin like any other asset, gold, stocks, etc. I thought the the other thing as well, from like a decentralization standpoint, like before it was like Coinbase, MSTR, right? There's only a few. And now if more and more banks come in, you know, in a weird way, it kind of provides some of that decentralization where there's more and more banks. So God forbid if Coinbase went down years ago, that would be massive for the price of Bitcoin. Now, if one of these goes down, there are, you know, several banks that are able to hold this. And I see that trend continuing. I remember talking to even some of these credit unions back in the day, and they were starting to look to get into this as well. So I think that will only continue as more clarity comes out, you know, from a legislation standpoint. And then also just like spot Bitcoin was, I believe, 2024, but the options markets came in 2025. And so oftentimes these huge institutions need the ability, like legally, strategically, to be able to hedge their downside, right? And so options allows them to have that insurance. Options provide massive liquidity coming in, volume coming in. You know, the first time people, you just mentioned, like kind of with those yield products, Strategies now has 5 or 6 different preferreds that now you can come in and basically allow yourself to gain money on top of that monthly from an income standpoint too. So rise of the institutions will be the last pick here. I'm sure there's a million other things I'm missing right now with that, but yeah, I think that's been the biggest story overall actually for me. So I'm getting a sleeper pick here in the 3rd round. So not sure if you guys have anything to add on that.
All right, and now that we've reached the end of Mount Rushmore, we'd like to throw it over to the guest. The guest automatically wins. Lucas, you won. Congratulations. Great picks. Prediction markets, AI space, and cybersecurity. But yeah, I wanted to just get your vibe. Okay, well, we're going over to the giveaway, and we can do that. But yes, Lucas, thank you for participating. That was really awesome. I hope you enjoyed it.
Of course, that was amazing, guys. And we'll speak to you real soon. Remember, stay cashed in. So, anyways, take care. Peace, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Have a good weekend.
Quick thing for the audience, 21rates.com/stack. We're making it easy. Enter SANTA for the giveaway. We got about 5 minutes left. So get your name in there and get some sats.
Yeah, again, 21rates.com/stack. You want to win 21,000 sats? Super simple. Just go to that website, put in the word Santa, enter, and I mean, come on. 21,000 sats to start your weekend. We got a big holiday week ahead of us. You're going to need those sats. Spread them around.
Yeah.
Send some holiday cheer.
Get a buzz off of 21,000 sats. I think it's like 1 year.
21,000 sats buy you one shot in Manhattan. That's
yeah, exactly. Let's hop into the news, Robbie.
Yeah, I think we can do some news real quick. But I also want Jody just to break down the quad witch and what that really means. I think it's a big day ahead of us, and that hour's coming up not too far. We're about 2 hours away from the witching hour of the quad witch, the biggest quad witch of all time. But we will talk about this. Let me talk about China mining ban 2.0. So this week, actually the last 6 weeks, for the first time in pretty much all of 2025, we've had 3 consecutive downward difficulty adjustments. What does that mean? That means that miners are being turned off. They're being unplugged from the network. And when it does that, Bitcoin has this amazing ability to self-correct. So if there's less hashers on the network, then the difficulty will loosen up. It'll get easier to find the next block. Why does it do that? In order to ensure that blocks are found every 10 minutes. If there's a lot of miners on the network, then it gets harder for it takes a lot. It speeds up, right? You're able to find them faster, so it gets more difficult in order to make sure that 10-minute difficulty or space in between blocks is maintained. But what do we see this week? We saw 400,000 miners get unplugged from the network, and we are pointing fingers at China once again. They had a huge mining ban in the summer of 2021, which caused the Bitcoin price to crash 50% essentially, as well as the hash rate to crash about 40%. Well, now we're seeing about like over a gigawatt worth of energy be pulled off the Bitcoin network for the miners. And why? Because China said, hey, you guys over in Xinjiang, over in the western region of the country, need to shut down your mines, whether it be for preserving energy for other uses, making sure that it's not illegally siphoned off. We're not really sure. But there definitely has been clear orders from the top that these miners need to be shut down, and that has led to less hash rate on the Bitcoin network. And yeah, some people are saying that this could be a reason for the price action as well. These miners were taken offline. They can no longer mine Bitcoin. So that means that they need to sell the Bitcoin that they have in order to cover costs for their infrastructure, for electricity, and for their operations. So interesting tidbit coming out of Blockspace Media this week, covering it, that we're seeing another China ban in mining this week.
Love it. Hold on, I have a really cool photo. I love Google Gemini. It allows us to do things on the fly here. Quad week, December 19th. Jody, he gave you a brain twister here. But if you want to go over what is quad witching and why is it important, and how is Bitcoin now kind of in the center of a lot of this with the IBIT?
Yeah, so I have to take out your graphic, sadly. I know it's a little bit small, but I have to give a shout out. Christina, she was on our last stream last week with Treasury Talks. British Hodl, shout out to them as well. They were great guests. But Christina, is a fun guest to have, and she's warning roughly 7 trillion in options tied to stocks, ETFs, indexes are expiring today, making it the largest witching day on record. According to Citigroup. Quad witch refers to expiration event in derivative markets where 4 types of contracts all expire on the same day. So think about a big, 9:30 end of Q3 call options, people thinking Bitcoin's going to 150K, and it didn't, and those call options were expiring worthless. Very much so now. I think people was also expecting the Santa rally and wanted to sell before the Santa rally. So I do think that has driven some of the volume up. We expect that seasonality. But just like the 4-year cycle, things didn't work out this year on the price side as we expected. So I think with Bitcoin, we've been disappointed. It's down in the 80s. We expected a rally up to 150, 180. There's big banks and big talking heads, putting out big predictions. We're also not getting the Santa rally so far that we expected. So that's why we're in sweaters today. Ari's got his on. Rob's always looking great in his jacket. So this weekend, hands together, let's do little dances for a Santa rally, and I hope the sleigh comes.
Yeah. So the quad witching is every 3rd Friday of March, June, September, and December. As you mentioned, Rob, I think it starts like 3 to 4 is where you really see some of these price movements. A lot of price pinning directly, to 150 or 200. It's very simple math sometimes with these, and a lot of that time is because the people that are doing options are looking for those nice round numbers. And so, $7.1 trillion is expected in expiration. So, gonna see some action here in about an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Let's get it. But I have been seeing some posts. I can't find it right now, but I think this guy is saying that the day after Christmas, the 26th, all these options will be cleared up and will be over this gamma wall, and then it's off to the races. That will quickly rubber band back to 100K plus and will set us up nicely for 2026. Again, we don't know, but we can always hope.
How about this news, by the way? This is one of the biggest stories that people probably are not talking about enough. First time raising rates to a 30-year high, signaling more hikes. What does that mean for the stock market and for Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, the yen carry trade has allowed asset prices to just go straight up for the last 30 years plus, right? Many people would borrow yen for cheap because the interest rates were so low, and then go out to find other assets that would yield something higher, whether that be US bonds or stocks, and they would go buy them. So borrow from Japan, buy US. And so that has definitely helped US stock prices go through the roof, set all new time highs continuously for decades now. But if the cost of money, the price of money goes up in Japan, that trade doesn't work as well anymore, and people need to cover their butts, and they need to sell assets outside of Japan in order to pay back the debts that they have with the yen carry trade. So if those interest rates keep going up, as we just saw, they upped it today to a 30-year high, the yen carry trade, we're at risk of having that be unwound. And that means that these sky high asset prices might not stay that high forever.
Yeah. Good question. Someone just asked, why did Bitcoin not react? Or Yeah. Why I can't speak for today. Let's try this again. Why did not I can't speak. Let me try this third time. Why did Bitcoin react to the Japan rate increase? Jeez.
I honestly think it did.
I mean, but a lot of this, I think the people buy the rumor, sell the news overall. And so I think, people have been talking about this for a while. So maybe it was priced in would be my best guess. But Jody, you seem to have a better answer maybe.
Well, yeah, I was watching it, trading it a little bit. Don't worry about it. So I think people expected, like, the consensus was, there was going to be that increase, and it was a big cliff overhang, the whole week of news. I think KT Problem Sniper mentioned on Wednesday on the show, Midweek Markets, that, this is something he was worried about before, more than PCE this week. I think people are waiting and seeing how the market was going to react. And then once it did, Bitcoin did go from, 86, low 86, I guess it was like 84, 85 yesterday. And then it did climb up to like touching 89 almost, it was like 88 and change. And so I think there was a sigh of relief. People were like, okay, we're not going to dump just because of that. This has been priced in, like you mentioned, Avi, but it wasn't enough to drive it up. I don't know if the quad witching, if people felt like there was enough volume on the derivatives market, that they also felt concerned about what was going to happen today. We'll see. I think after 1 p.m., I wonder if we'll get more fireworks, because those two big events are past us.
Yeah, I wonder if they're thinking about I was looking at Arthur Hayes' thesis is that the real interest rates are still down and they remain negative. So Bank of Japan is still technically printing money. So maybe people are factoring that in as well. Also, today's quad witching day, so I think people are maybe. I think that will be the biggest action here in about an hour and 10 minutes now. But it's the world is moving quickly and changing fast, to say the least. All righty. Any other news we want to cover? Or should we get to the moment that everyone's waiting for, the wheel?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get to that wheel. Let's reward.
Jody, do you need us to do one more news article here quick as you get that ready?
Let's each pick a Bitcoiner of the week. Give people 5 more minutes, 2 more minutes, and then we'll go.
Wait, let's just, that's 21rates.com/stack. Yeah. Code word for today, Santa. 21rates.com/stack. Code word Santa. Enter to win for your chance to get 21,000.
Yeah. And while you're there, you can invite your friends. There's many ways to earn sats on 21rates.com. Jody and I built this out. It is essentially what many people are saying. I won't say this, but many people have called it the nerd wallet of Bitcoin. So it's very cool to go and check out if you guys are Bitcoiners or want to learn about Bitcoin. We have education sources. We also have different ways to earn sats, as I mentioned. That will continue to grow, and really fun way to compare, rate, review different Bitcoin products. I think there's, in this supposedly very transparent space, there's a lot of non-transparency, and I think that what we set out to do was come out third party, no objective there, and actually go in and have it crowdsourced. So you guys have used different Bitcoin tools, different custodians, different Bitcoin credit cards. Please go on review, and we'll actually provide some sats if you go on and review. So it is somewhat of a crowdsourced website. And without Jody, I don't know if you can zoom in with your fingers here. For the name,
big screen,
enhance. But we need some. Next time we will have some wheel music. But if you're ready, let's rock and roll.
Let's go. Brrr. Let's go. Big stuff.
We got some anons in there. We got some colored ones. People that left their names. Guys, you can go anon. Bitcoiners, obviously, we respect privacy. We're not going to be giving your way an out. You'll just be gray on the box. You don't get a special color.
Oh,
daily double. And the winner is.
That's me. So we're gonna reset that.
All right. Yeah. That's the one rule we have here, is that none of us are allowed to win.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to reset.
Nice.
I did it again. No. Okay, good. Someone else won, yeah? No, again.
Yeah. This is actually kind of funny. Like,
Next
how many
time, let's
times
not
did you
put our
win?
own.
You're the luckiest dude. Go bet on this quad witch, dude.
This is the biggest scheme in history.
I just
We'll
always-
keep spinning until someone else wins here. And we got a new winner.
Okay, so
All
that
right.
was actually statistically improbable that I won twice.
Yeah.
Um,
Very cool.
All right, in Dumiso. Dumiso? I don't know.
Indumiso.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to pronounce that, but 21,000 sats. We got you. Come back if you win twice, daily double, and we'll double the amount to 42,000 sats. So you'll see it in your account soon. If you want to withdraw it, just go to enter in. Rhino has a great Bitcoin Lightning wallet, wallet of Satoshi, Strike. There's a lot of different wallets out there. We'll give you instructions in the website, but just go to your dashboard and you'll see some sats there.
Yeah. If you have questions, just shoot us a DM. We'll make sure you get your sats. Thank you, all 1,500 plus of you that joined in today. Special little holiday edition as we got going. Rob just looks great, but we got the holiday sweaters on. And stack sats, stay humble, enjoy your holidays. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, any other that are coming up as well. Rob, you want to wrap us up here? Anything to think about here over the holidays?
Yeah, I think it's important to keep perspective. 2025, we had a lot of high hopes. Some of them were met, some of them were not. But at the end of the day, if you're paying attention to this space, if you're into Bitcoin, if you are stacking sats, you are way ahead of the rest of the world. The big banks are getting in here, but if you've been here since 2025 or before, you're early. After this year, maybe not so much. I mean, if JP Morgan is getting their Bitcoin before you did, maybe you're not early anymore. But if you're watching this right now, you are. So be grateful for that. Big things are ahead. 4-year cycle is over. And we are going to be here every single Friday, bringing you the entertainment, the fun, the news, new guests, free Bitcoin, everything that you want. The Friday Stack, make it a part of your weekly habit, and we'll be here to give you the good stuff.
Love it. So enjoy. Have a happy holidays, everyone. Jody, I don't know if you wanted to say something there, but
Merry Christmas.
Are we going to do it next week with the holidays, or are we taking the week off?
I think I'm going to be on the road, but yeah, we'll take next week off, and then we're back at it January 2nd, ringing in the new year.
We might do a giveaway though. Got to help out the
Let's
people.
Do a holiday. Let's do a little Christmas giveaway. So
we'll do some Santa sats out to people.
Yeah, at 21 Rates HQ. Make sure to follow at Bitcoin News.com, I believe is the handle there as well.
Yeah.
So you guys follow along. 21rates.com. We'll have all the updates as well. But let's do a little Christmas giveaway. So that will be coming as well. But everyone else, we will see you in the new year. Enjoy and stack sats. Let's go.
Bada bing. Peace. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Much love.